and we'll see what we got here. Everything else tested fine earlier.
All right.
And we'll see what we got here. All right. Else tested fine earlier. Yep, we look good. No Facebook yet, but let's see if I'm going to Rumble. I don't know if I am or not. Let me go over there. Okay, we're on YouTube, Armed American Radio, and Rumble today. On YouTube, Armed American Radio, and Rumble today. All right. Greg, your mic is live.
All right, Andy's checked in.
All right, your mic is live, and we are on YouTube, Rumble, and Armed American Radio today. We'll be back up on X and Facebook tomorrow. Sounds like a plan, doesn't it?
Don't matter to me.
Greg's grumpy today, guys, but it's a Monday. He's allowed to be. Trust me, I get it. When you're having your third cup of coffee at 4:04 p.m. Eastern Time, yeah, baby.
That's rough. Can't do that.
It makes it a long. Means it's been a long day. I could actually. Nah, I'll leave it just the
30.
way it is today. We'll be good to go. Have everything up running tomorrow. All tests were green today. Yesterday was frustrating.
But it just crashed the whole system after yesterday.
It did. But she's back up today. I tested each one individually today. It was all solid. Cameras are live.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by the National Rifle Association. From the 6 Hour Studios on the Patriot Mobile Platinum microphone.
They're never going to stop us here.
Nope. Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Armed American Radio's Daily Defense begins right now on about 6 or 7 dozen radio stations around the nation. Mark Walters here in the 6 Hour Studios with you. Yes, on this Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center microphone. And it's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Join them, folks. Join them if you haven't. NRA.org/AAR or rejoin. Please help us out as we continue to fight for our gun rights across the United States of America. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing on a Monday? It is Monday. I told you last night when we got off the air. I'll see you soon. I'll see you too soon.
Yep, here we are. Too soon came, and Monday afternoon is what's happening.
So here's what we're doing with live, guys. If you want to watch the video, we ran a complete bunch of tests today, and we're up on Rumble, we are up on YouTube, and we're up on armedamericanradio.com. We'll be back up on Facebook and X tomorrow. All tests came out positive after yesterday, so we appreciate your patience. If you like to watch the show, hang in there while we get everything together. And Greg, I guess we have Andy Hooser on the line, do we not?
That we do.
He's the voice of reason at KQAM, Wichita's big talker. I always refer to him as Wichita's favorite son, which is kind of fun to do. And what Andy doesn't know yet, Greg, is he's going to be running my show today, and I'm going to be a guest because I'm on my third cup of coffee at 4:04 p.m. Eastern time.
He's used to it.
You think so? You think he's going to be good with that? Let's bring him live and see what he has to say. Andy Hooser, the host of Armed American Radio today. Treat me as a guest. How you doing, my brother? Oh, that's his response. He hung up on us. He decided he didn't want to join us.
There he is. Hold up.
Hold on. Hey, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
That's right. I can hear you now. There we go. How you doing, Mr. Host?
Okay. Click. Living the dream, man. Hey, there we go. Ready to go for another Monday. Hey, I will say, though, thank you for filling in on Saturday for my show.
Oh,
that was it was a lot of fun. I listened to it. It was a blast. And it was hilarious because obviously the big topic was Iran and was the U.S. and was Israel. And then literally like an hour after you got off the air, then we got all this news that bombs started dropping. So that was it was pertinent, but it was awesome, man. I appreciate it. Good
55 minutes after the show ended, boom, 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 boom. And I thought to myself, are you kidding me? Because I could have easily done another 3 or 4 hours of radio on your program. We had so much fun. And I do appreciate you letting us fill in. So I'll tell you this on a live microphone. Anytime you want me on a Saturday, I'll take that slot for you. It was a tremendous amount of fun. So I don't know where to go.
It's great. And you're right, man. Like I said, there's breaking news that happens every weekend right at the time that we're on like that. So, I mean, it's crazy. It's a nice slot to be in. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, probably should have called Trump and said, can you do that at, 4?
Do it an hour early.
Instead of 6, right? Yeah, hit that an hour
right.
early. Yeah, but some of the commentary it's very prescient, right? And it's always fun, even an hour later, to look back and say, okay, how did we analyze the discussion when we now know what happened, an hour later, right?
Yeah.
How did you go back and you look at your commentary? And some of the comments I made were, I'm not even, because Trump is a pragmatist is what I was talking about. And I'm not even sure. At the time, I said, I'm not even sure he knows yet. Well, he knew. He clearly knew.
He knew at that time.
He knew at that time. He knew weeks earlier. Okay. There's no way they coordinated that massive effort. Okay, let it fly. Now, maybe he gave the command at that time. Maybe he didn't know he was going to give that command. He knew what was in store. It was just a matter of when am I going to pull the trigger, pun intended. So maybe he didn't know that until that minute, okay, when he did. Now, we knew B-2 stealths were flying. We had reports of that earlier in the day, that some of them were moving towards Guam. Well, what we didn't know was that the whole batch of the other ones that really mattered at the time were moving the other direction and about ready to unleash hell. I'd like your thoughts on all of that, and it makes for a conversation because, how do we respond here in the homeland? And as far as our own security is concerned, this begs a lot of questions, right? Is it safe to go to blue cities right now? Or should we be worried about Iran right now? Should we be worried about some of these clowns or sleepers? So let's kind of go into that a little bit, because that is a self-defense issue. If you find yourself in those cities, and millions of people live in those cities, and there's a lot of concern right now. The U.S. government has an official warning out right now from the State Department. So, and Department of Homeland Security. So, yeah, we do need to be kind of cautious. We do need to be careful. But isn't that the case all the time, though, Andy?
It is, and that's why you talk about safety and personal security and privacy and that sort of thing all the time, and that's why the purpose of this show here. So you're right. I would say, honestly, right now, the biggest concern we would have would be sleeper cells here in the United States, more so than a retaliation from the Iranian government. And what we know from the Iranian government right now, if you have been focusing on the issue throughout the day today, is they pretty much openly said, we have to retaliate, so we're going to shoot missiles out to you. Mm-hmm. But they were very open and transparent about it. It wasn't a surprise. It wasn't anything shock and awe. It was, I mean, by definition, we have to retaliate to you. Here's what the missiles are going to do. Shoot them down, but that's all we're going to do right now.
Well, so we already knew that. There's talk in Washington, actually, on some news reports that they told us that they were going to do that.
Yes,
they
did.
They were
they
passing
told us
notes diplomatically that, of course, we have to respond to this. This is what we're going to do. And
exactly.
what you said, go ahead, shoot them down, do what you need to do. So, whether or not that was effective will be determined. We'll be able to determine that by Trump's response. Now,
right.
I don't know.
But I mean, we expected that.
But, yeah, go ahead.
But that was expected. That's what we knew what they were going to do. They openly said they were going to do that. So that's all they have. That's all the power and authority they have right now because, 9 out of their 10 major military leaders have been eliminated from the IDF and Israel. And of course, now their nuclear sites have been demolished by what we've done. So they don't have much else left. The only concern now, and this brings it to a Second Amendment and self-defense issue, is what could they do here on the home front? There are multiple different terror sleeper cells that we've been monitoring for a very long time. And that was even before Joe Biden ended up bringing in a large number of Iranian, quote unquote, refugees, asylum seekers over the past 4 years under his administration. When I was growing up in Colorado, the Colorado government was very open and transparent, saying that there were more than 11 or 12 different terrorist sleeper cells in the state of Colorado they were watching and monitoring nonstop. We already know they're happening here. So it's whether they get a green light to do something foolish around the country. And I think that is going to be right now for us the biggest threat that we potentially need to be aware of, which leads to your own self-protection right now.
Well, that begs a question. If we know they're here, why aren't we taking them out? Why are we watching them? Why are we leaving them here? There's always a risk that somebody can get away. Take them out. Get rid of them.
Be done with it.
Maybe there's an intelligence factor there that we'll leave them here. Maybe they've infiltrated a few of them. I mean, I'd like to believe that the FBI and even the CIA on the home front, for that matter, is involved somehow. But at least to the extent of helping the FBI identify some of these folks. But why they keep them here and allow them to stay here, maybe it's an intelligence thing that's way above my pay grade, okay?
That's the only thing I can think of, because I've asked that question many times before. If we knew of, 12 different sleeper cells, that were in the state of Colorado, hiding up in the mountains, doing their training, doing their recruitment, and we know about it, why would we not get rid of it? So I think it's more so let's track them, let's watch them, and let's see where they go and where they communicate to try and, kind of do an intelligence kind of thing would be the only response I could possibly think of.
All right, so Michael Bain, who is very well known in the self-defense world. Michael's a friend of mine. I've known Michael for many years. He put a post up on X late Saturday, that essentially said, you guys, if you're living in a blue city right now, you really need to have your head on a swivel right now. Be very leery, be very careful. And that's all great advice. I would give that advice myself too. But there was some commentary below it. Well, you got to live your life, right? The goal of a terrorist is to disrupt your life. All right. My advice to you is go on with your lives. It's that simple. Quit worrying about the Iranian boogeyman popping up behind every tree and every building. Live your life. Be vigilant about what you do. And maybe there's some places you want to stay away from. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing,
you're going to tell Israelis and you're going to tell Jews in New York City to stay away from their synagogues. You don't do that. All right, then that's a victory for Iran. So we don't do that in America. And for crying out loud, there's 12 million people living around New York City. What do? Tell them all to flee? No.
Yeah.
You stand vigilant. As far as I'm concerned, walk out into Times Square, take a photo with a middle finger and post it to the Iranian dictators. There you go, pal. Right in the middle of Times Square. Go pound salt. Okay? That's the way Americans should be thinking. But at the same time, let's be realistic. Fun to talk like that. But you do need to remain vigilant. Now, let me tell you why I think it's important, Andy, and we'll go into this in the next break. You were talking about sleeper cells.
30.
With the 30 seconds we have, let me say this. I'm not as worried about a a quote unquote professional sleeper cell, as I am a lone wolf. That's who you need to
Yes.
be really concerned with. He's the guy that wants to make a name for himself somehow to the Iranian government by attacking a synagogue, or maybe attacking a mosque, or attacking a cultural site in the United States, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, or blowing himself up in Times Square. That's the kind of stuff that you need to be really leery of, that the federal government is likely not aware of that individual. When we come back from the break, we'll talk about that with Andy Hooser, and what can you do
20.
to defend against that. And there is a correlation about how you defend against that and how you defend yourself against any criminal that might attack you on the street at any given
10.
moment for any reason. We'll be back with Andy Hooser. Don't go away. Guys, we'll be right back here for you. I'm going to try to keep the cameras up for you more often during the breaks now, as we continue to do some stuff here on the other end that you don't see, but there's some things on this end that we need to have fixed, and we're going to work on in between the breaks. But as I said, if you're watching the show on YouTube, Rumble, or Armed American Radio, which is bringing the YouTube feed in, we made a change there as well the other day, and that's part of what we were having to deal with, was that where that feed was coming from. But we'll be back up on X. We ran a test today. We'll be back up on X. We'll be back up on Facebook tomorrow as well. So all those platforms will be live for you. So lots of fun stuff going on behind the scenes. But for right this second, need to do a few things behind the scenes. We'll be back in about 3 minutes now. It's 17 after. We'll be back at 21 after. Remember, this is a radio show. So these 4 breaks are hard breaks that we have coming up. This one, of course, 17 to 21. The next one, 30 to 34. And then 44 to 48. And then the top of the hour when we end the hour. So stick with us. We'll keep the cameras on as much as we can during the breaks from this point forward, not just today. So hang tight. We'll be right back with you.
The following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the Patriot Mobile deal is the real deal. I know Andy knows Patriot Mobile very well, as does Diana Muller, a guest on the show. And I've been working with Patriot Mobile for quite some time. The phone that I'm holding up here now is going to be a Patriot Mobile phone in about 10 days. And that's because I'm taking advantage of that buyout opportunity over there, up to $500. And when this particular phone, which is one of my two main lines, one of them is already Patriot, but when this one hit $500 that I owed on it, it actually came out to $499.99 was the actual buyout just a few days ago, a week ago today, actually. So I went ahead and paid that off and then filled out the paperwork for Patriot Mobile with my folks over there. And the only thing waiting for this to flip to Patriot now is once the bill comes. When the bill comes and it's been paid off, even though it's already been paid off, once it's official on that bill, then this phone is going to flip automatically, and it takes 2 seconds to do. Keep my number and have another Patriot Mobile phone. You can do the same thing. It's really, really simple to do. And guys, I hope you subscribe to the same philosophy I do. I'm sick and tired of giving my money to people who hate my guts. And, you know, I won't go to Target for that reason. And I've been told, you don't have to. Don't worry about all that stuff. They got rid of their DEI. I know they didn't. They got rid of it because it was politically expedient for them to get rid of it. But they still think that way. I don't like to give them my money. And I don't want to give my money to some big woke company either. All right? So every company that we work with here at Armed American Radio is the real deal. On Wednesday, Clayton Llewellyn from Heaven Harvest is going to be here. We'll be talking with Patriot Mobile again Thursday. So make sure to visit all of our great partners at armedamericanradio.com or .org. Take your pick. Patriot Mobile is one of them, and they are fantastic, the real deal. You hear them defending our right to bear arms. They were just up at the Women's March on Washington, D.C. with Women for Gun Rights, sponsoring that, having a booth just over the last week they were there. That's the kind of company that we're talking about. PatriotMobile.com/AAR. Take advantage of these great deals. Quit giving your money to people that hate your guts. I mean, it's like giving it to AOC. Why would you do that when it isn't necessary? Andy Hooser, the voice of reason. Welcome back, my brother. Come on in, Andy. The water's
Happy
warm.
Monday, and can you hear me? Yeah, we good? Oh, there we are. Hey, all right.
Hey, it's all those buttons he's got to push out there at the KQAM radio studios. He's like Greg. He's got a mothership there, a big board. Mine's a little bit simpler.
Oh, man.
So let's talk a little bit about where I was prior to the break interrupting us. But am I concerned about the cells that the government knows where they are? Not necessarily. Not as much as I am that very dangerous individual, which is that lone wolf, right? The guy that wants to somehow endear himself to the Ayatollah in Iran. Look what I did. I blew myself up for you. Okay? Gets his 1 minute of fame. Maybe they make him famous in Iran. I don't know. But whatever the case may be, that's the person that's very, very dangerous and very, very unpredictable. But isn't that the way any criminal is, Andy? Let's make that correlation. Don't you have to be, isn't that what you're, not fearful, but alert for when you're walking around anywhere you go? I don't care where it is. That's the person that you need to be concerned with, is that person that's like so desperate at that moment in time that the chain you're wearing, which I'm not wearing now because it always hits my desk, okay? That chain right there is worth to him my life because that person is so desperate, right? That's the person you got to be concerned with, and that's where my fear lies, quite frankly.
Yeah, and I want to take it a step further. It's not just an individual who may be of Muslim faith, like you said, that's wanting to fight back and retaliate from the nation of Iran because they've been radicalized. We have a radicalized sect in the nation right now that is the radical wokeness that is so anti-Semitic that everything we do, I mean, right now it's the ones that are flying the Palestinian flag saying free Palestine from the river to the sea, abolish, the nation of Israel. They're now out there supporting Iran. Imagine this. Gay communities, LGBTQ communities, Democrat communities are supporting the nation of Iran, even though the Iranian people want to be rid of the regime that's in power right now. They don't understand that they're supporting Iran because everything Donald Trump and America does right now is pure evil. I'm almost more concerned of them doing a violent outburst. I've been, Mark, posting different clips of, the radio show on social media, doing these things. The post I just made earlier today on TikTok was a guest I had on Friday on the show talking about Iran and Israel and the ongoing war and so on and so forth. For me, in my account, it went viral. It's now sitting at 11,000 views and 150 comments on there, all of them saying free Palestine and going after my guest, going after me because of supporting the nation of Israel. Those are the ones we need to be concerned about because you don't know what they're going to do to retaliate here in the United States.
Yeah, you're right. And let's look at fear-mongering. Media is very good at this. Media is very good at this. I'm going to be in New York City third week of July. There's people in my family saying, I don't want you to go to New York City right now. It's going to be too dangerous. Ooh. Okay? I won't mention who, but they're there. All right, but let's take a listen to some of the media because this is where people get fed this stuff, okay? All you got to do is go Drudge Report if you want to see it all. It's unbelievable what's happened over there. But nonetheless, Trump says Iran gave USA advance notice of missile attack in Qatar. Suggests won't respond to weak missile strikes. Pentagon, no casualties. Pope Leo warns of irreparable abyss in war. How likely are U.S. boots on the ground? Nuke dreams may survive bunker busters. White House asks China to stop Tehran from closing Strait of Hormuz. Oil drama unfolds. Strait of Hormuz. Trump agitates for regime change. Make Iran great again. His reality TV cabinet not ready to meet the moment. His reality TV cabinet not ready to meet the moment. Threat of sleeper cell attacks in USA never been higher. Security ramps up from New York to L.A. Israel keeps up attacks with debate raging on when to stop. Arab leaders privately praise. And then Iran launches missiles at U.S. base in Qatar, Iraq. Update, Trump nuke threat to Russia. Sky News Live, travel warning, Americans worldwide, Homeland alert for summer. It's all doom and gloom for the most part. All doom and gloom. And when you're fed doom and gloom all day long, you're a doomy, gloomy SOB. And nobody wants to be around you during the day, Andy. And that's what has happened
I don't like
to
negative
America's
Nancy's.
Democrats.
I don't like negative Nancy's.
Now, they're the water cooler people, what I refer to them. You know, guys, you know that if you're at work, these are the people that stand around the water cooler all day and do nothing but complain. Okay? Most of those people are Democrats. But if this is all you're seeing, 24/7, you're paranoid. You're literally living your life paranoid, and you cannot do that. You should always be alert, Andy. Your head should always be on somewhat of a swivel all the time because there's a bad guy out there somewhere lurking behind something that wants to take what you have if you happen to be the unlucky person that walks by at that moment in time that person decides they're going to act. Yeah. Is it more pronounced right now? Probably, yeah. But again, it doesn't mean that you have to change anything if you're living your life that way. You should already be on top of this stuff. Go ahead. Take us to the break.
No, and the good news is that I hope that people recognize that, realize that, and become more aware, become more of that civil, become the quote unquote prepper that's always, putting their back against the wall when they go to a restaurant or go to a place, and they always keep their head on a swivel, watching everybody around them and be aware of their surroundings. While it's a scary time and that could escalate because things are happening more, the good news is that hopefully more people are aware and learn to be aware of their surroundings as opposed to look at their screen the whole time.
Yeah, here's great advice for you, ladies and gentlemen. Arm yourself. That's great advice. Now, as far as blue cities are concerned, most of them you can't. All right. But there's other things that you can do. And one of them is,
15.
If you don't have to be in the blue city, why would you want to be there anyway? I kind of have to be. But nonetheless, when we come back, we'll continue the conversation with Andy Hooser, the voice of reason. All right, I'm going to check this other system real quick. We'll be back shortly, guys. Mic's live. Camera's off. Guys, for your information, I was talking with representatives at National Rifle Association headquarters about a half hour before the show. Look for some really cool promos to come out in conjunction with some of our other partners. Think some really special things that a lot of people, some of you are going to walk away with some really fun stuff. And I am not in a position yet to tell you who those partners are, but they're good ones, okay? Think guns, gear, food, fun stuff. It's even funner when it's free, isn't it? It really is. So look for that to unfold over the next few weeks as that all gets put together. Remember, these are new relationships here. So we're looking at doing some really cool stuff with everybody. You'll benefit. Trump just put a Truth Social post out. Congratulations, world. It's time for peace. Greg, here's a question for the ages. You ever put ketchup on a hot dog?
Nope.
Tell me why. Now, for the record, I don't either. But tell me why.
I'm a mustard guy.
Do you put ketchup on fries?
Sometimes.
I'm just curious as to why you wouldn't put it on. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this has always been a topic. It's always fun to talk about, believe it or not.
15 seconds.
But do you put ketchup on your hot dogs? My son does. It drives me crazy.
No.
Yeah, well, like you ever get the $1.50 hot dog over at Costco? You know, he'll just slather ketchup on that thing. Why?
Gross.
Mustard and
Relish.
mustard and relish
jalapenos.
is good. Jalapenos is good. Chicago dog is good. If you go to Chicago and
The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by
I'm not going to Chicago, so
Defend
I'll
Freedom,
be all right. And I don't really eat hot dogs. I make bratwurst.
AAR, and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense continues from the 6 Hour Studios. Mark Walters in front of the mic here, and it is the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center microphone. Welcome back. Always fun to be with you. We're talking with Andy Hooser, the voice of reason. Andy Hooser, the voice of reason, of course, is HooserReason.com, and he's out of KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker, and it is Wichita's Big Talker. That makes him Wichita's favorite son. And for those of you, well, in today's day and age, you don't have to be in St. Louis to turn your radio dial on. I guess that's part of the beauty of these stupid things that I'd like to throw away, these cell phones. Right, Andy? But nonetheless, I'll be on with Mark Cox tomorrow morning on the Mark Cox in the Morning show with Kim and Mark and the crew, and we always have a great time. The segments are far too short. We get about 10 minutes with him, but it just flies right by. Andy, you know how fast radio goes. But I have a feeling we're going to be talking about the Michigan shooting, Andy, where you had not one good guy, but two good guys. One ran the guy over, the other one then offed him with a firearm and stopped what would have likely been, you know, another gun-free zone massacre in a church. And because we had a good guy with a gun who was there after another good guy with a Ford F-150 did his duty, who, by the way, was the deacon. So, you know, I hear you chuckle, Andy, but stories like this warm my heart, man. I love them.
Yeah. Yeah, those are great feel-good stories. And I saw that story. I have not read into the details of what actually happened, but I did hear that. And I thought of you as soon as I saw it, and I said, that's one of the feel-good stories of the day, where good guy with gun stops bad guy with gun. And we need more stories like that. We need more heartwarming stories, because, look, when we are in a time like we just talked about before, with the threats of Iran, with the crazy left-wing progressive Democrats, with, you know, the calling for violence and violent rhetoric and these protests and whatever else they're going to do. Look, we're 130 days into a Trump administration, and they're already getting a little rambunctious. Imagine what a year, 2 years are going to do down the road here with the Trump administration. They're going to drive them nuts. We have to be aware and prepared of what's about to potentially come. And I hope that people, regardless of the Republican or Democrat, moderate Democrat, independent, third party, whatever, wicked, wild, free thinkers, that you recognize I have to defend myself because things could get out of hand very quickly with a very emotionally distraught group of individuals.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple distraught individuals. Ariana Grande is one of them. Now, why am I talking about Ariana Grande? Breitbart News, one of their top 3 stories today was this headline: Ariana Grande promotes AOC post calling for Trump impeachment over Iran bombing. Now, here's my question to Breitbart. Why are you giving us that? Who cares what Ariana Grande thinks?
Yeah.
Who gives a crap? What implication is there to Ariana Grande reposting a dopey post from AOC? Now, I found it kind of interesting. There's kind of a correlation here. Chris Murphy's been out all over Twitter lately. He's on everyday lie. He gets up on Twitter and lies right straight to you, right to your face every single day. And one of his big takeaways this past week, Andy, you may have seen it, is this 22-year-old kid that's heading up some terrorism stuff with DHS. I don't know anything about him. I just know that he's 22 years old. And the left is going after him. Oh, this is who Trump's got trying to keep us safe. And my response to that is, said the guy who is holding AOC up as their party leader, an out-of-work, broke bartender who happened to win an election, who is all of a sudden the de facto leader of the Democrat Party. I mean, these people have no room to talk. Response, just glass houses, bro, okay? I mean, I can promise you this 22-year-old kid's got more smarts in his fingernail than AOC's ever had. Oh, I know. She went to college. I know. She looked good dancing on a rooftop in a skirt, and people voted for her, and she got elected. That doesn't make her any better than you, ladies and gentlemen. It's that simple. But this is who they're holding up. And then this ridiculous headline. I kind of expect more from Breitbart than that, honestly. That's tabloid-esque-ish, Andy, isn't it? I mean, what a joke. Why?
It is.
Literally, why? What do we care? Or do we? Do we care what Ariana Grande thinks in today's culture? Maybe we do. Maybe I'm missing the boat here.
There will be some. Yeah, I mean, we don't. You and I don't. Most of the listeners listening to this don't. But there are some that, especially maybe the younger generation, those that don't necessarily pay attention to politics.
How young?
That they're all about. They're the ones that they're in the line of the grocery store and pick up that tabloid right there that say that that somehow, I don't know, that Donald Trump's a time traveler or some type of alien from another species, which, I mean, you know, those tabloids are ridiculous, but people buy them. And there are certain groups that actually live their life based on what celebrities end up doing. And it's absolutely insane. So, yeah, there will be some. And
how sad of a life is that, you know?
That's the thing. You don't have the highest IQ if that's the case. But guess what? That's what Democrats bank on when they go into campaign season, because why do you have George Clooney and Taylor Swift and Ariana Grande and Madonna and all these rappers come out and endorse people like Joe Biden, trying to make him sound really, really cool by having a performance for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden? Why would you have them make these endorsements unless you thought it actually meant something to a lot of the voter base for them? But there are the clapping seals, the low IQ individuals, the ones that just are the followers and not the leaders, that are the Democrats voters that just go along with whatever the high-end elites tell them to do.
Yeah, it is interesting. You know, my knowledge of Ariana Grande was when she was much younger. When my daughter was younger, she used to watch the Nickelodeon show Victorious, all right, with Victoria Justice. And some of those shows were really funny, you know, like iCarly and stuff. My kids used to watch those shows all the time. And they were funny shows. They could have held their own back in the day on a Thursday night on NBC when, you know, that's what NBC did, right?
Sure.
But they were funny programs. And Ariana Grande played a role. She was a young kid on there. She had a beautiful voice, my gosh. And I to this day, I think, because I was watching that show with my kids, I always thought that the Nickelodeon was trying to make Victoria Justice the famous one. It was Ariana Grande who got famouser because her voice she's got a beautiful voice. I'm not going to take that away from her. She's incredibly talented. She's very beautiful. But what does that have to do with politics? I can't make the connection there. I simply can't make the connection there. Now I go look at my daughter. All right. Did it connect with my daughter? Not one bit. My daughter is a conservative warrior like you would not believe. She's been to Turning Point conventions. She's met Jason Aldean. She's met Donald Trump Jr. She hung out with Breitbart News and AWR while he was doing his interviews there. She's met them all, okay? She can't wait to go back to these conventions, and she's 22 years old. She'll be 23 in November. Ariana Grande didn't influence her in any way whatsoever when she was growing up. And I believe they're about the same age. So I don't understand the correlation. I think it comes from how people are raised. I guess if you're raised
Ariana's
in a
22?
liberal household. What's that? Is she somewhere around there? Yeah.
Is
I
she
think.
really? Wow.
I don't know.
Interesting. I did not know that.
You're going to make me look
You're right there with you. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I get it. And
31.
Like my daughter,
She's 31.
for example,
Okay, so she's much older. So there you go. It tells you what I know, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, my daughter, she's 11, and she's starting to get into that same type of music,
Right.
the Ariana Grande's and the Megan, whatever. And, I'm curious on what she's going to be like, because she's not very political, and she hears my radio show and she just rolls her eyes and, okay, dad's doing his thing, but she doesn't really get it and click it yet. And she's 11, so I guess that's expected. But, when she does start getting that influence, is that going to influence her to change her mind or to think about things differently?
No,
or
I'll tell you why.
Being around it at home with dad, I don't know.
Now, I'll tell you why it won't, because of you, because of the way she's being raised. Now, she knows you as talking on the radio. That's all she knows of you. My kids have only known me talking. I have pictures of my kids in the studio when they were 6 and 7 years old. This is all they know that I do, right? They don't remember my many past lives in galaxies far, far away. And that's probably not a bad thing, to be honest with you. But at the same time, and in the same token, it's really dependent on how the kids are raised. And if you're raising people, if you yourself, if your kid sees you being influenced by these clowns, these Hollywood goofballs, well, it's likely that they're going to take some of that influence as well. But, and same can be said for why my kid's a conservative warrior.
20.
But I've never heard a liberal thought come out of my kids' heads. I've never once gone, what did you just say? I've never had that happen. So maybe I'm lucky in that sense, and I'm pretty sure you will be too. We'll be back. One more segment to go with Andy Hooser. All right, guys. Back at you in just a second. Hang tight while we work behind the scenes here on this. So, guys, I don't know if you've seen any of the latest news, but now there's apparently a life-threatening heat dome threatening all of us in America. Sorry, Greg, I just thought it was July. Summertime coming up in July, you know. We're 7 days away from July, man. I was just thinking it was summer. I mean, forgive me. Yep. My coffee's gone. What am I going to do now with the leftover?
10
I
seconds.
know what I'm going to do. God, these brakes are flying by, dude. God, get off the gas.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Yeah, guys, that's a smart thing to do, by the way. If you were listening to the Monster Cast last night, we had Andy Marcantel on, who is one of the attorneys who has handled hundreds of self-defense cases on behalf of the Attorneys for Freedom Law Group, which runs, of course, Attorneys on Retainer. And again, I'm going to tell you this. There's some things in life are just no-brainers. There are some things that you have to do. Like you have to be careful when you're driving, right? You have to drive defensively. You just have to do that or you're asking for trouble. If you're walking around every day and you're carrying a gun, you've got to be on your toes. Your head's got to be on a swivel. You have to be aware of that. You got to check your ego at the door. There's certain things you have to do. Check your ego when you're driving so you're not involved in a road rage. Don't be one of those idiots, okay? Do smart things. Having an attorney, if you carry a firearm, having an attorney in your hip pocket is a smart thing. Attorneys on Retainer is just one of those no-brainers. And I got my bill today, $25, and I have an attorney on Retainer. Andy Hooser, the voice of reason, welcome back to the 6 Hour Studios with me. We were talking about a self-defense case with Andy Marcantel last night that they successfully defended before they even had to go to court. They defended him through the investigation. So...
Wow.
Yeah, for $35, the guy successfully defends his life. And the investigation, he had attorneys on his team behind him during the investigation, which if you're not entitled, ladies and gentlemen, to a court-appointed attorney until you're charged. So, I mean, again, this is just a no-brainer thing. We've got some great opportunities out there and some great offers for you. So make sure to check out attorneysonretainer.us, attorneysonretainer.us, and you can use that /AAR or just use the AAR promo code, and you're going to get $50 off over there. But my gosh, you know, be prepared. This is one really simple and really cheap way to do it and have an entire law firm behind you supporting you. God forbid you have to use your firearm. Good heavens, you do not want to find yourself in a situation where you do not have an attorney and you had to use your firearm, because at that point, you're mortgaging your home, bro, and your kids' education, your financial future and security, and it was unnecessary. It would be so sad to see that happen when it's just not necessary. You know, this is one of those things you can't have that too much protection when it comes to that. Andy Hooser, the voice of reason. You know, I was looking at during the break. I looked at a couple things in here on the video screens, and one of the things I noticed, I went back and I said, Ariana Grande really shows you how much I know and keep up with stuff. She's 31. That's just time getting away from you, man. You know, wow.
Yeah, that stuff flies right on by.
It flies right by you. You don't even realize it. You'd think she'd know better at 31, but I guess growing up and being around that whole Hollywood thing, thinking that she matters more than she does, or aligning herself with that dope AOC. That tells you a lot about Ariana Grande, quite frankly. Put yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't always blame the celebrities, you know, as much, because you're right. Number one, I mean, look, everybody's allowed to have their opinion. Celebrities are allowed to have their opinion, but many of them are smart enough to realize that, hey, I don't want to divide my fans by making a political statement. That's why, honestly, I was really heartbroken when Arnold Schwarzenegger got involved in politics the way he did, because I was such a fan of his that I didn't want to either like or dislike what he was doing on the political front, because I enjoyed his movies. And overall, he was a Republican. He was a California Republican, so he was very moderate. But to be honest, even with the way he handled many issues, and how critical he was of issues then, and even with Donald Trump now, that I've really been turned off on him a lot, which broke my heart, because I still really loved his movies, even some of the new stuff that he's come out with over the past few years. But it was just different watching him. But
yeah,
when you're in the public face, and you're not like us, the talk radio host where everybody knows us based on our political opinions, but if you're just a regular, quote unquote, public face that people know you, it's smart not to give your political opinion, because it's going to taint or help, I guess, maybe your appearance based on when people see you, because, they're going to cling to that. So you got to be smart like that. And you can have your political opinions, but I like to go back to the band Metallica. They like to say, Republicans and Democrats come to our shows. Republicans and Democrats buy our albums. We're not going to make political statements.
Shut up and dribble.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
Pretty much that simple. I do. There is some breaking news. We just got an alert here that the Supreme Court has ruled 6-3 in favor of Trump's deportation of illegal dirtbags to third-party nations. So that was a 6-3 decision.
Why did we even need a ruling on that? Come on.
One of life's great mysteries. Why did we open our borders? What president would have thought that was a good idea, and why? So there's lots of unanswered questions in life, and that's one of them. But to get back to your actor thing, which I've always found that fascinating. I've spent some time talking about it, because from a cultural standpoint, it really does matter. Like I love Robert De Niro. I mean, it's such a great actor. He is. I'm not going to take anything away from him. He's one of the best. Have you ever seen the movie Heat? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you remember the scene with him and Al Pacino sitting in the diner? The director sat back and let them go. That whole scene was ad-libbed. That's just two great actors going at it. And if you go back and watch that scene, you'll see them smile at each other from time to time. They just kept the cameras rolling. They went completely off script. And guys, that's not me just telling you that. You can go look it up. It's a fact. That's just two great actors. Goodfellas, great movie. I mean, Robert De Niro's always been such a great actor. Nobody can play a mob role like Robert De Niro can. He was very good at it. But he's a real POS when it comes to his politics, and he just let it overtake him. And he let it drive him crazy. He let his TDS drive him nuts to the point where he says things about you. There's some idiot, I don't know, they call him a rock star. I don't know who he is. I think I know who rock stars are. I've never heard of this guy. But he says 78 million idiots made this possible, talking about Iran. So he's just called 78 million Trump voters idiots. Now, at best, he just shuts his trap. And I think that's where you're going with that. These people, I have no time for them anymore. I can't watch Robert De Niro anymore. I don't even, I won't even watch the good movies I've seen 50 times because of that anymore.
I can't do it.
Done. I wrote him off. That's simple.
Yep.
So
I'm
celebrities,
right there with you.
come on.
I just can't do it.
Yeah, but my, where's my red line there? I don't know. It depends on the actor or musician themselves. Now, like bands like Rage Against the Machine, I wouldn't give them one penny of my money. Okay, these people are just commie socialists. That's what they sing about. The machine that they're raging against is you, ladies and gentlemen. It's your conservative values. That's what they're raging against. And they make no bones about
that's why I find it hilarious that the Rage Against the Machine Fighting the System, the lead singer of it, is now writing for the New York Times as part of the system. I mean, come on, man. You can't say that you're against the system when you go afterwards and then go work for the system. I mean, they're
the biggest hypocrite of all in that arena is Michael Moore.
Yeah, exactly.
Michael Moore's made millions and hates capitalism. Okay, go make millions in Cuba. Not possible. Yes. Go make millions in Russia. He can't. Go make millions in China. He can't. The hypocrisy there just drips and it reeks. But you know what? They have a right to think and say whatever they want to think and say, and we have the right to choose whether or not to buy their crap. And that red line for you, ladies and gentlemen, is whatever it is. Maybe you're just fed up enough and you're done with it. You put up with it long enough. Whatever that red line is for you, well, there you go. But the advice is good advice. Just shut up and dribble, okay? Play basketball. We want to watch your talents. We don't want to hear your politics. Andy Hooser, the voice of reason. Where can people listen to you in about another 10 minutes, brother?
Yeah, you betcha. Hooserreason.com, Hooser reason.com. We're going to cover a lot of the, obviously, Iranian and Israeli and U.S. Issues that are going on, and a new report from ALEC on work productivity by state. And I can only imagine, Mark, that there is something to do with unions that are involved in the lack of productivity in some states as well.
Yeah, well, I
30.
pretty much bank on that, but I'll keep that to myself. I've enjoyed watching the unions move towards Trump. It's been great to see them take themselves away from that Democratic shackle. Finally, thank God.
20.
Andy Hooser, the voice of reason, thank you for everything that you do, brother. Thanks for letting me sit in for you Saturday. We appreciate it. That's Andy Hooser, the voice of reason, KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker, Wichita's favorite son. He's the real deal. Check him out on his radio program. Enjoy the rest of your day, what's left of it. I'll see you on the radio tomorrow, guys.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate it very much. So tomorrow we'll be back up on all platforms. That will include X, formerly known as Twitter, and Facebook, and hopefully everything with the software does what it's supposed to do finally for the first time in a while after a bunch of updates and all. But hopefully we got that squared away for you. Appreciate you tuning in today. Thanks very much. Armed American Radio's Monstercast Daily Defense will be back tomorrow. Lee the Gunwriter Williams is expected to be with us, his regular slot. On Tuesday, we'll have, I think we're going to have Clayton Llewellyn talking some politics and some cool stuff on Wednesday, and we'll just let the week unfold. So enjoy the rest of your day, what's left of it. Grill hard today if you have the opportunity. Don't worry about the heat, guys. It's summertime. It's supposed to be that way. Don't let the media scare you, all right? It's hot. Go get in the pool. Have fun. Enjoy it. See you on the radio tomorrow, guys.